So today with us on Stool Talk, we have with us the one, the only Coach of the Year, state champion, Toledo, a GOAT in Toledo. You know, growing up in Toledo, Ohio, when you mentioned girls basketball, during her time, you will hear her name. And now she's excelling in the coaching career. We have with us Coach Rayford. How you doing?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So how is you guys still on the honeymoon of the state championship y'all just won?
Man, I keep trying to come down off this cloud and they won't let me. It's been nothing but a blessing, and it's just been so many opportunities that's happened since then that, I'm just trying to be normal, but it's still great. I'm still up there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, we're the first time since what, 1978?
1978. I was 3 months old when they won the last one.
Yeah. And as I was following this, I'll just touch on this a little bit. As I was following this, you guys were getting the recognition and getting published like y'all was a professional team down there. Like everybody was celebrating y'all, which was good. Newspapers, I'm talking about TVs, magazines.
Yeah, so they do that out here anyway, but it's also because my school is Las Vegas High School. It's the only school in the city. We got like 50-something high schools, and we're the only one named after the school. We're also the oldest school in the city of Las Vegas, the first school, like in 1905 or something like that. So that had a lot to do with it too. And then it also just the name, so it was a good thing, and it was definitely a feel-good story too.
Yeah. So take us back in the beginning, when you first started playing basketball. What age was you?
To my recollection, I definitely remember playing basketball at 5. I was in kindergarten, and I know I liked basketball, but I grew up across the street from the park, and we would be able to go outside and play at the park, and there was a basketball court out there, and I would see everybody over there playing. I'm like, that looked way more funner than swinging and sliding down the slide board. So 5 for sure. Pickett Elementary, kindergarten. My kindergarten teacher, we take us to PE. We used to do stuff with basketballs, and I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah. So what age or what grade was you in when you seen like, hey, I'm doing something with this. I can be good at this. Like, when did you really see that you were good?
True story. 2nd grade. I wanted to be on the team, and they wouldn't let me. And then there was no girls also. So I was kind of like an anomaly where they weren't sure what they wanted to do. I was decent in 2nd grade. I wind up not being able to play until 3rd grade, which again, I made a team, and I was the only girl. I was the only girl on my team for roughly 3 years. We had another young lady who was a little older than me. She was kind of in and out, but she was there also. But I was a starter as a female at 10 on an all boys team. So it was pretty cool even back then.
Yeah. So when you were in middle school, heading to high school, was it schools trying to recruit you or schools trying to get you to come there? Because I know everybody around the city knew it. You were young, you were only girl, and you dominating on your boys team.
So the funny thing is, I had only played with boys going into middle school, so I was very disappointed when I had to play on the girls' team at Burndale. I was like, I almost didn't play. I was like, I don't want to play with the girls. Like, I don't even know what that's like. So that I laugh at that now because I was like, wow, that was crazy. But as early as 7th grade, and I won't name any names. Some of those people are still coaching, and some of those, people are still around. But they're pretty much wasn't a person not trying to get me to come to their school. I'll just say that. It was pretty cool. The attention, I wasn't even into it though, to be honest about it. I was just like, oh, okay. Everybody's trying to get me to play on their AAU teams. I hadn't even heard of AAU. I didn't even know what that was. And people would just show up to Burndale. People knew my family, of course, and they would call somebody to tell my mom to give them a call, things like that. And here we are 20-something, 30 years later, still the same thing going on, but I was sought after by some pretty impressive coaches and groups of people for sure.
Yeah. And what did high school look like for you? After high school, what college did you end up going to and play ball?
So I went to the University of Findlay, and honestly, looking back on all that, if I had to do any of this over again, I would have done it all. Not having somebody in my life at that time that had done what I was looking to do there was kind of no guidance. There was no advice. There was no like, nobody in my ear kind of saying, hey, this makes more sense. So while there's a lot of things going on today that I definitely don't like, I definitely think that component was a missed component. I wound up going to the University of Findlay, played basketball there. The most important thing, and I tell my kids, I graduated, because basketball doesn't last forever. And it was a great experience there. We were, in my time there, we went to two national Final Fours, was conference champions pretty much every year there. So it was a great experience being part of that program. But even still with that, I probably would have bet on myself and did something different.
But that helps because you were able to give that game, that knowledge to your players because you've seen it all, you've been through it and experienced it. A lot of times coaches haven't experienced something, so when they go through it with their player, they can't relate. They won't be able to give them the knowledge and information. But being that you've been through it, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you're able to, translate that to your players. So after college, was you thinking about coaching? Have coaching ever been in your mind, or it just happened? Like, how did this coaching thing come about?
I knew I wanted to be a coach in fifth grade before I knew I wanted to be anything else. I remember I wrote a paper in fifth grade about being a coach. And the funny thing is, it was literally because at Pickett, we had, I played for Alfonso Miles, Coach Fonz. He was like the most amazing guy ever. And it was me. I was the only girl, and it was all these boys, and they were hard-headed. And the game came so easy to me back then. And I don't know if it was just, I was just talented and blessed, or I was just a good listener, but it was easy for me. And we would be in practice and I would just be annoyed at all these boys. Like, this is not that hard, or this is not that difficult. And I knew then, I was like, I'm going to be a coach. You know what? I'm going to fix all this. I'm just going to be the coach. So I knew early. I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher forever, but I knew I wanted to be a coach. And then it was as I got older, just about every coach I had was in education or was a teacher. And this is the route they went. So I kind of followed that, but I knew way early that coaching was the way for me to go.
Being that you're teaching and coaching, does that give you an advantage? What similarities, or is it really differences in being that you're teaching the kids and now you're ahead of a basketball program?
I actually like them both. I love being hands-on with the kids. So teaching was definitely the right move. And then my background is health and PE. So I get to see kids in their natural element, as opposed to sitting, in the classroom and teaching math or whatever. I get to see them relax. I get to see them, develop. PE is actually pretty cool sometimes, and so I actually like that. And it definitely goes hand in hand because I get to see kids that I would never otherwise see. If you're a math teacher, you get the kids that have your class. I get everybody. Everybody has to come through the gym at some point or the other. So it's like the first day of school is in 2 weeks. I can tell you right now, first day of school, when they walk through the door, I'm like, oh, okay, I see her. I don't know if they ever played or not, but I'm like, I like the way she walked.
Yeah. So can you take us to your coaching journey up until now at Las Vegas? Where did you coach at before you got to where you at now?
So when I was in Toledo, I actually coached at a couple of places. So my first teaching job was at a charter school because it was, it was around 2002, 2003, and TPS just wasn't hiring at that point. So even though I was in volleyball, so people forget I played volleyball too. I was already coaching volleyball, and I was coaching volleyball at Bowser, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was a great opportunity, great experience. But basketball was always, tugging at my heartstrings. I just hadn't had that opportunity yet. So I got my first teaching job in 2002, and they wanted a sports program. They didn't care what it was. And so that was my first time, literally, I was 21, 22, and I developed the whole program from scratch, everything. And then I wind up helping develop a conference for charter schools, because most of the schools didn't have a team. They would just be playing in their gyms. So that was my first real live experience getting into it. And I loved it. It wasn't even about the games. For me, it was about finding kids, being organized, setting up practices, finding gyms, networking with people. Like, I loved every aspect from top to bottom.
You was you was a general manager, kind of like the
right, right. General manager, talent scout, all the above. But it was awesome.
How many L's did you used to give Leland? Did he ever get any victories over you?
you know, we never really played like that. Because it was just different. We never played like that. You know, growing up, we didn't play 5-on-5. We played 21, which is still my favorite game. So you had to get in the trenches and you had to beat somebody. So him and I would shoot around a lot, and we probably got each other just as good. I will say this: he was underrated for sure. And he still has a jump shot that's pretty decent. I mean, I don't know if he can beat me, but I'm just saying. But he was. Yeah, you know, we never played really against each other. He was probably one of my biggest supporters even back then, and he just always just supported me and helped me. But we would get out there and knock it down. When we discovered horse, that was it. You know, that was it.
Yeah, and one thing about him as well as you guys both have a heart and love for the game, plus the kids. Like, y'all actually care about the kids. Not just, okay, practice. I'm talking about outside of practice, how y'all make sure that they cool, y'all make sure they on the right path, and y'all making sure of their behavior and stuff like that. Where did that get implemented? Is that something like growing up that got instilled in y'all? What does family mean to you? Because I know the Rayford name, when you hear the Rayford name, you know that rings bells all around the city. You know, how did that happen?
You know, for me, it was just a lack of representation. I very vividly remember going into a gym and not seeing a lot of girls that looked like me. I very vividly remember seeing people getting scholarships and getting offers, and they didn't look like me. And here I am. I touched on it a little bit earlier. I didn't have anybody to tell me or to advise me. So everything I did was kind of from scratch. And we did the best that we could with what knowledge we had and information that we had, and we made the most of it. So I knew, again, from even back then, like, man, I want to see some girls make it. I not necessarily even about color or black or white, but just in general, girls from our neighborhood, from 43607, from 419, period. I knew I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to, you know, get some girls out there, help them get to the next level. Like I said, it was, even though I didn't have that experience or that guidance, it was still kind of easy. And I was blessed along the way. So there wasn't too many mistakes. And then family, of course, you know, everybody was just so supportive. I was doing something at that time that not many women in my family had done. All my uncles went to college and they all played for Libby, and they all, you know, they were all athletic, talented, and did stuff. But I didn't have any female cousins that was attempting to do what I was doing at that time. And then just by the way it came, I was like, I want to be able to give this back to somebody else and help somebody else do that. And I think Leland's the same way. We've been blessed to be able to do it, and it comes kind of easy, if you will. And I think it's, you know, just part of who we are.
Yeah. So what was your first year coaching in Las Vegas?
I came out to Las Vegas. I was hired to be the coach here from Toledo. So at the time, I was still coaching in Toledo. Wow. I was a freshman basketball coach at Bowser under Karen Lake. And then I was still coaching volleyball, and I was coaching a middle school. I was somewhat the athletic director, general manager of a middle school charter school. I was working at Winterfield Venture Academy at that time. I was also involved in summer league, but I wasn't the head coach. I was just involved and still have my hands on. And I applied for the job in Las Vegas in 2009, believe it or not. And I said, you know, I don't want to get out there and something bad happens. So the day I applied for a job, I decided the next day that I needed another degree. So I went back to school and got my master's degree. And I finished my master's degree in 2011. And Las Vegas, a school here in Las Vegas, called me literally 2 months later. So it was November 2011. I put everything in my car and I started driving out here.
Wow.
I drove.
How was the basketball program before you took it over? Because I was reading that like when you first started, it didn't really go that well. It was some 12 wins, 6 wins after that.
So we have a storied history at Las Vegas High School. And again, that was part of it, being the first. The pride here is immense. And when I got here, I thought I took a college job. It was insane. It was over the top. And I loved it. And again, the alumni base is, our alumni here is kind of, you know, in Ohio, when you walk around in OHIO, we got that same feel here for my school. And again, I'm proud of us because it's the oldest school here. And we do have a rich history. So I had learned that we had probably went to 4 or 5 state championships between 78 and when we won, we just never brought it home. So we were kind of sort of in there, kind of sort of good. And then we had a few down years. So I came here in 2011. I actually got hired the day before the season started. So I was on the staff. I wasn't the coach then because they had tryouts. I was still driving out here the day of tryouts, and I got here like that day or whatever. So the next year I took over, and we struggled a bit. There's a little bit of a talent gap, and I think my philosophy a little bit, what I wanted to do didn't necessarily mesh with some of the kids that was already here. So it was growing pains for sure. But I always knew what I wanted to do. I stayed faithful to it, even when I was frustrated or even when it didn't seem like it was working. I mean, we had a year, I think we maybe had 5 or 6 wins in one year. And you just have to go through that. You have to go through something to get to something. So I was fortunate and blessed enough to be able to stay with it, and it paid off.
And you talk about faith. What does faith mean to you?
This whole thing has been a faith walk. I wouldn't even fix my mouth to say that any of this was possible without believing in my faith. And like I said, there was some stuff, there was some growing pains. Everybody didn't like me bringing my Midwestern values and ideas to, here. And there's a culture clash to say the least. And so, again, we went through some things, nothing like over the top or bad. I probably made some mistakes. They made some mistakes, but at the end, I stayed on my knees. I stayed faithful to the process. Putting everything in my car and driving out here was about faith. Yeah. I hadn't had the job yet. I knew I was going to get the job, but I hadn't had it, driving out here for 3 days, driving my family crazy, and then that whole first year where I sat and waiting, kind of watching and learning and seeing what Las Vegas was like. And just the whole thing was just about faith. 2 years ago, people don't remember this, but we were actually state runner-up last year. And I was sick that entire season, just medically sick and ill, and was looking at having surgery. I was looking at stepping down. The doctors were saying, you shouldn't be up, you shouldn't be doing this. And I prayed my way through it. Honestly, I prayed my way through it. I just trusted and believed because I knew I wasn't out here for nothing. And it wasn't even about winning a championship. That was more about my faith than anything, like just getting through it.
Yeah. Take us, take us through that moment where you walked in that office and you seen the ring sizer. You seen the ring sizer and you must have said something. Your faith went to, another level that day that you were in there. Take us through that time.
Man, like you got a dream, right? So it all starts with a dream. It's a dream. And I tell the kids that today, man, you got to dream this thing at night before a big game. I tell them all the time right now, just do a little visualization. Imagine yourself hitting that shot to win the game tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I've always been big on that. So that particular day, we had just finished this season. It wasn't a great season. And you know how they come in to size you up for your rings and your senior package and all that stuff. I just was walking through. I didn't even know what it was from a distance until I got up on it. It was the only thing on the table. It was the only thing on this long white table. And I still didn't know what it was. I picked it up and I started looking at it. And then I was like, oh, I get it. I seen the numbers and stuff on the backside. And I looked around. I'm like, I said, I'm going to need this. I need this, and I just grabbed it. And I took it to my office. And it was in my top drawer for a couple years. Literally, I would open my drawer and it'd be there every day. And then I kind of got tired of looking at it, or just, so I put it somewhere else. But I always kept it. And even, like I said, we had a 5-win season, 12-win season. We had some kids quit. There's a lot of things went on. And when I would see it, I always knew it was going to happen. I kept saying, I need that one day. I need it. So I probably had it for about 6 or 7 years. And nobody knew I had it. And I would just see it sometimes, and it would just give me motivation and inspiration to keep working. Yeah. And we used it. Like when those people came to size those rings, I said, no, I got this. I already know I got it.
There's some nice rings too. Take us through the moment where you were so calm and collective, and y'all down, 14 in the state championship? Y'all down 14 games, but you kind of already knew what you had in your players. Most coaches would have been panicking, like, oh, we here again, and it's about to be over with. Like, did your players sense that, or did you have to get their morale up? Like, no, we right where we supposed to be.
Well, I think you nailed it. It was kind of a combination of both. So we're in 4A, and we dominated 4A, and I didn't know this until after the game. Somebody printed. We won our 4A games by average 36 points a game. But we scheduled outside of that on purpose because, I kind of had a feeling that, we'd be there. And then you need to do that. You can't, you got to, in order to be the best, you got to go see the best, even if that means taking some lumps. So in that particular game, that team, they just came out and stuck it to us. They literally popped us right in the mouth, and we didn't quit. We didn't give up. We just couldn't figure it out, and it lasted a little too long for my liking, but it was never, for me, it was never about talent. It was never about basketball. I felt like at that point in the game, I had to reach them a different way. You know how like when you do something at home, you already know what your mom's gonna say. You already know, and sometimes you turn her off because you already know what she's gonna say. It doesn't mean you're not listening, but you heard that already. I kind of felt that same way at the end of the game. And again, it wasn't about basketball for me. I knew we were the better basketball team, and I felt like we had the better talent. I just had to reach them in a different way. So I didn't want to come at them the same way that I always come at them because I didn't want them to turn me off because they already know what I'm going to say. So I was a little bit of that game. I was thinking we're down by 14 points, and I'm literally sitting there like, I'm thinking. I wasn't worried at all. I'm literally thinking I need to reach them in a way that I haven't reached them yet so that they understand. And some, again, by the grace of God and just, being able to come up with that, that's literally what happened. And they started to listen. Just let them know, we're not out of it, but, we're kind of getting thin on time here. So we got to turn it up a little bit. And we were able to do that.
What has Layla Faut or Layla Faust? How you say it?
Faut, yeah.
Yeah, Layla Faut. What has she meant to your team? Didn't she sink the last 2 free throws to put y'all ahead?
Yeah. So Layla reminds me of me. She's the beast, and it's a mentality. It's not the talent all the time. It's a mentality. It's that I know people scoff or that Mamba mentality. Layla has that, and she has that better than she has basketball. Basketball is actually easy to her, but when Layla walks into the gym, she actually challenges me. Like I can without hesitation say I'm a better coach from having coached her. Because her talent is such at a high level that I remember, when she walked into the gym last year as a sophomore, and I was like, gosh, I got to find something else to do at practice because she's killing us. like she's killing us. And she has one level and it's high all the time. Her energy is there. She doesn't have an off day. She doesn't take a day off. Her conditioning is exceptional. So when we're doing drills and you have people kind of lollygagging or maybe kind of tired, Layla's like, and it raised everybody's level, including mine. She absolutely raised my level, which I liked it. And I was like, all right, okay, I got it. Like, let's go,
Yeah.
So I found myself challenging myself to try and challenge her. So I what she's done for Las Vegas High School for herself and just for me as a coach, like you can't even put it into words for real.
Yeah, and you get her one more year, right?
Yeah, I got her one more year. She's going to be a senior, and she's accomplished everything that there is to accomplish as a high school basketball player, which is pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do next.
Yeah. So how did this Coach of the Year nomination come? Was your name in it early or was it during the tournament time? Like, how did this all come about? And when you got the news, were you excited? Where were you at? What was going on?
So I'm just gonna put it out there. 3-time Coach of the Year this year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So, conference. I was voted Conference Coach of the Year, and I felt like I didn't deserve it. And no disrespect to anybody, I don't think that because you have the best team that makes you the best coach. So I actually passed that honor on to another coach who I felt like was more deserving because I saw what she was doing and how she was trying to build her program. And I don't care if you're 11 or an 11, it's about your overall product and your body of work. So I felt like the right thing to do was to throw that bone to somebody else, to let them know to keep working, because I've been there. I was also Coach of the Year last year in our conference too. So there was nothing different about my program that for me to feel like that, I should be Coach of the Year. So it was a great honor and I humbly accept, but I also wanted to pass that bone to somebody else who I felt like needed that more than me. And then literally a week later, I get a text message from our local newspaper called Nevada Press. And they kind of snuck it in there. They say, hey, we need information for Layla Faut and Kayla Terry. And then it goes, oh, and you, because you're the Coach of the Year. I was like, what? Like, I never it's weird. I don't think about that type of stuff. I honestly don't. It's never been on my mind. It's never something that I was like, oh, I'm coaching to be coach of the year. Never once did it even pop into my head. Like, so it was literally in a text message, and I just stopped dead in my tracks. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty big. Like, this is pretty, like, damn, you know? Yeah. And it made me feel really good because, you know, you work so hard, you never stop and reflect, you never stop and look, because you just go. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then maybe a month after that, so this after the season's over, I get another text message from another news source here, and it was the Las Vegas Sun, and they have this big, amazing, over-the-top ESPY awards like ceremony program. And they say, hey, you're being nominated for Coach of the Year. You're one of our nominations. Do you accept? And that one left me scratching my head. I was like, wow. And I was actually, when I got that message, I was actually, I have a former player of mine who's a professional basketball player in Germany. And I had always told her when she gets to Europe, I'm coming. So I was actually in Germany about to get on a train. And I looked down and I got that message. And I was going to watch this young lady play. And I just stood there, like literally on the platform, like am I being pranked right now? Like, and I seen the message, and then I go to my email, and there's already an email there, and this is real. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know it existed. I stay in my space. I stay at Las Vegas High School. I stay in my gym. I have tunnel vision sometimes. I didn't even know these things were out there.
Yeah, and I thought it was dope because you was on the magazine with the Las Vegas Aces. Like, oh man, so that's what made it extra special. You touched on something I wanted to ask you. With all this stuff going on, coaching, overseeing young ladies, being over a program, always focusing, maybe recruiting, maybe scouting, you know, looking at tape. When do you find time to just unwind and have peace, and make sure that your wellness is together?
On Sundays in church. That's like literally, that's literally, I take every Sunday off. I always have, but I'm glad you brought that up, because this is actually the first year of the last decade that I did take some time off. I never realized like how exhausting it could be, or it was, because I was always working for something and I was never satisfied. And there's been a lot of times where literally you sacrifice yourself and your well-being and your mental health. I do want to say I feel like I have the most amazing people on my team. My assistant coaches, man, they're amazing. Our parents that support me, they're amazing, and they've always been there. But I always feel like being the head coach, you're the one that's responsible. So I go above and beyond, you know. It's been a decade since I've enjoyed Christmas break. It's been a decade since I've had a day off for Thanksgiving. Our season out here starts the day after Thanksgiving. And if I could have it my way, we'd be in a gym practicing on Thanksgiving. You play a game the next day. Then you play over Christmas break, and then it's over. And I can honestly tell you, in the last 10 years, I probably missed 2 practices, and I know exactly what they were. I was actually coaching my freshman team, because they didn't have a coach for a tournament, and I had somebody else cover practice, and it drove me up a wall. So I've not missed a practice in a decade. And this right now, literally, this is the first time that I've literally just taken a minute to take it all in. And if I'm being honest, it feels pretty good. I like this feeling, and I'm starting to learn that I can take a little bit of time off. Before, I didn't think I could, to be honest about it. I didn't think that it was something that I was in a position to do, or that my program was in a position to do. So we just worked. My gym used to be open 11 months. Anybody out here tell you 11 months strong. We're in the gym 5 days a week for 11 months. And this is literally, this summer is the first time that I just didn't.
So what's next for you with basketball? Do you see yourself coaching a couple more years for a long time? Do you got plans, other aspirations that you plan on? What do you see, or you just take it year to year?
You know, when you dream, you always dream about like going out on top, like, you know, oh, I want it, I'm gonna drop the mic and just walk away. That's so not realistic. I actually, it's kind of weird. I'm open to moving up. I don't want to make any lateral moves. I love where I am. I love Las Vegas High School. It's been great to me, and it's given me everything that I can hope or dream. So I'm never going to leave there for another job that's coaching laterally. But I am open to moving up if that opportunity ever comes. I also have a master's degree in education administration. And I honestly always wanted to be a dean of students, an assistant principal. I don't want to be the principal, but because I want to work more with the kids. I always wanted to be hands-on in that role. So I can definitely see retiring at some point in the next year or two and moving into that position or moving on in basketball. But if it's not Las Vegas High School, it's a no for me in terms of high school and on that level. I think that's one of the greatest jobs in the world, for real.
Yeah, well, it's been great. I appreciate you stopping with us to talk with us. We need more like you because you are for the youth. You are for the kids and not just for the game, the accolades, the awards and all that. You really got a heart for it and a heart after it. And that's what we need to make sure that these kids are doing the things they need to and they're getting, stewarded right. And it ain't just about sports because a lot of times, like you said, you make your kids know, okay, it ain't just all about what you're going to do after sports. And that's what's good. And that's what need to keep on continuing to be poured into the kids so they can see that basketball is not everything, it's not the only thing, but then it's good to have a backup plan as well.
Absolutely. That's probably the most important to me. Basketball has afforded me an unbelievable life. I get to travel, I get to go all over the world just because I picked up a basketball. And if I can get one other person to see it that way and to realize that this life, and you don't have to be a player, but this life and this education can provide so many opportunities and open so many doors. That's what I'm here for. And I love to just be able to take my experiences and give it to somebody else. And hopefully they can do the same thing, if not better.
Yeah, and then, they love y'all at the Aces game. I see y'all was up there in the box presidential seats and Asia Wilson coming out talking to y'all. That got to be amazing. I know the kids was just like, oh, my goodness.
Listen, since the day they got here, which, by the way, I was a season ticket holder before they was what you see today. Me and my good friend, Renee, we were season ticket holders when there was 25 people in there. We would just be sitting there. A couple of times I was like, hey, just put me in. I go out there and play. And they've gotten better and better and better. And they are so involved in the community. They are so involved with these kids and the opportunities that they afford to everybody here in Las Vegas has been great. So again, that's one of those things where the kids in my program, if we have an opportunity like that, you have to take advantage of it. You have to, because I got kids in my program that they've never left my side of town, or they don't have the ability to leave our side of town, or they're from single parent homes and mom is working and she can't get them to a game at 4:00 in the afternoon or, whatever. So anything that I can do, or anytime we see those type of opportunities, LVHS is going. I want every kid in my program to get that opportunity for sure. And the Aces are great at doing it. Like they are excellent at what they do in the community for sure.
Is Candace Parker gelling in and messing with them?
Oh yeah, she you know what? She's such a savvy veteran that she knows it's Asia Wilson's team. Like this is Asia Wilson's city, for real. And I like how she just came in and slid right on the radar. It's not even about Candace Parker. It's literally I'll fit in. I'll play second fiddle. I'll go behind you and you tell me what you need to do. And she's accepted that, and I think it complements the team real well. She's got a couple championships. She's played for 18 years. She doesn't need to be number one. And when you're selfless like that, and same thing, I hope all these kids are watching, it shows that, if you can humble yourself just a little bit sometimes and get behind something else, you can have a great thing going. You don't have to be the leading scorer or the leading rebounder, but your contribution is just as important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love them. I got to watch them play every time I can.
Yeah. Well, it's been great. We appreciate you. Thanks for letting us have you grace our, time in our screen this evening.
For sure. I appreciate you. And I love watching you guys. I watched a bunch of them. And I think you're doing a great job. And I love this platform that you're providing for everybody. And I'm happy to be here, proud to be here. I'm out in Vegas, but I'm a 419 baby at heart for sure.
When I come out that way, I'm going to definitely have to, because Vegas is on my list of places to go. I'm going to have to get in with you.
Come on, for sure. The door is always open.
Okay. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.